Have you ever felt like you're invisible in your own family? You know, it's not uncommon for seniors to feel overlooked or ignored by their grown children. Life gets busy, priorities shift, and sometimes, the bonds that once were strong start to fray. But here's the good news. It's never too late to rebuild those connections. With the right strategies, you can strengthen your relationships and feel valued again. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 powerful strategies that can help you reconnect with your family, even if they've been distant for a while. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to initiate meaningful conversations, understand your children's perspectives, and foster a more loving and supportive family environment. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into these strategies together. Before we dive into the strategies, let's take a moment to understand why this might be happening. There are several reasons why grown children might seem to ignore their elderly parents. It could be due to their own life pressures, like work, raising their own children, or personal challenges. Sometimes there are unresolved conflicts or misunderstandings from the past. Other times, it might be that they assume you're doing fine and don't need their attention, or perhaps they're not sure how to relate to you now that roles have changed. Understanding these reasons can help you approach the situation with empathy and without taking it personally. Now, let's move on to our first strategy, letting go of the anger. Letting go of anger doesn't mean you have to forget or excuse past hurts. It means choosing to respond to the situation in a way that promotes healing rather than conflict. When you're angry, it's hard to think clearly or communicate effectively. So take a step back. Try to look at the situation from an outsider's point of view. Ask yourself, what might be going on in my child's life that's causing this distance? Maybe they're dealing with their own stresses, or perhaps there's a misunderstanding that needs to be cleared up. Letting go of anger is crucial because when you're consumed by negative emotions, it's almost impossible to build or repair relationships. Anger can make you say or do things that push people further away. By letting go, you create space for positive interactions and open the door for reconciliation. One way to let go of anger is to practice forgiveness, not just for them, but for your own peace of mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're saying what happened was okay. It means you're choosing to move forward without letting it control your emotions. Another helpful tip is to avoid letting outsiders fuel your anger. Well-meaning friends or relatives might say things that make you feel worse. It's important to surround yourself with people who encourage reconciliation, not division. If you find it hard to let go on your own, consider seeking professional help. There are therapists and counselors who specialize in family dynamics and can guide you through the process. For instance, I know a lady named Margaret who was estranged from her son for years. She was so angry that she couldn't even speak to him without yelling. But when she decided to let go of her anger and focus on understanding his perspective, things started to change. She wrote him a letter expressing her feelings without blame, and that opened the door for a heartfelt conversation. Now, let's talk about our second strategy, staying in touch. Even if your children are ignoring you, it's important to keep reaching out. Don't wait for them to make the first move. Show them that you care and that you're willing to work on the relationship. This doesn't mean bombarding them with calls or messages, which might feel overwhelming. Instead, send occasional messages or cards to let them know you're thinking of them. Share something positive from your life, or ask about theirs in a non-demanding way. For example, you could send a text saying, "I saw this article and thought of you because I know you're interested in gardening." Or, "I'm thinking of you and hope you're doing well." The key is to keep the communication open without expecting an immediate response. Over time, your consistent efforts might encourage them to reach out back. Staying in touch is like keeping a fire alive. Even a small flame can grow into a warm blaze with consistent attention. Your efforts show that you value the relationship and are committed to maintaining it, which can encourage your children to do the same. Also, be open to different forms of communication. Maybe they prefer texting over calling, or perhaps they're more comfortable with emails. Adapt to their preferences to make it easier for them to stay in touch. Another thing you can do is to invite them to family events or gatherings, even if they've declined in the past. Let them know they're always welcome, but don't pressure them. Sometimes, Just knowing that the door is open can make a difference. Now, as we continue, remember that rebuilding family bonds takes time and patience. It's a journey, not a destination. But with these strategies, you're taking positive steps towards reconnecting with your loved ones. Before we continue with the next strategies, I truly appreciate it, from the bottom of my heart, if you could take a moment to like this video and leave a comment if you find it helpful. Your support helps this channel grow and allows me to create more content like this. Now, let's dive into our third strategy, respecting boundaries. As our children grow up, they develop their own lives, careers, and families. It's important to recognize that they have their own boundaries and need for independence. Respecting these boundaries is key to maintaining a healthy relationship. What does respecting boundaries look like? It means understanding their preferred ways of communication. Some might prefer texting, while others might like phone calls or emails. Adapt to their style rather than imposing yours. It also means not taking it personally if they don't respond immediately. They might be busy with work, their own children, or other commitments. Give them space and time to reply. Avoid making unannounced visits or expecting them to drop everything for you. Instead, ask if they're available for a visit or a call. This shows that you value their time and autonomy. Let me share a story to illustrate this. I know a gentleman named Robert who was very close to his daughter when she was young. But as she grew up and started her own family, she became less responsive to his calls and messages. Robert felt hurt and started calling her more frequently, thinking that she needed to be reminded of their bond. However, this only made his daughter feel more pressured, and she began to distance herself even more. After some reflection, Robert decided to respect her boundaries. He reduced the frequency of his calls and instead sent occasional texts or emails, sharing updates about his life without expecting immediate responses. Over time, his daughter appreciated this approach and started reaching out more on her own terms. This story shows that respecting boundaries can actually help in rebuilding the relationship, rather than pushing it further apart. Another way to respect boundaries is to avoid prying into their personal lives, unless they choose to share. Let them open up at their own pace. For instance, instead of asking pointed questions about their job or relationships, you might say, "I'd love to hear what's new with you whenever you're ready to share." This creates a safe space for them to connect without feeling pressured. By showing that you respect their independence, you're building trust, which is essential for any relationship to thrive. Now, let's move on to our fourth strategy, adjusting your focus. When you're feeling ignored by your family, it's easy to become fixated on that relationship and let it consume your thoughts. But it's important to remember that you have a life beyond that relationship, and there are other sources of support and joy. Adjusting your focus means building a support network outside of your family. This could include friends, neighbors, community groups, or even online communities. Engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment can help take your mind off the family issues and improve your overall well-being. For instance, you might join a book club, volunteer at a local charity, or take up a new hobby. These activities not only provide social interaction, but also give you a sense of purpose. Another way to adjust your focus is to reconnect with old friends or make new ones. Perhaps there are people from your past that you've lost touch with, and reaching out to them can bring back fond memories and provide emotional support. You can also consider joining support groups for seniors who are experiencing similar issues with their families. Sharing your experiences with others who understand can be incredibly therapeutic and might give you new perspectives on how to handle the situation. Moreover, engaging in activities that you're passionate about can boost your self-esteem and make you feel more fulfilled. Whether it's gardening, painting, or learning a new language, finding joy in these activities can help you not to dwell on the family issues. Let me give you an example. There's a lady named Evelyn who was feeling very isolated because her children lived far away and didn't visit often. She decided to join a local knitting group, where she not only learned a new skill, but also made several friends who shared her interests. Through this group, she found a sense of community and belonging, which alleviated some of the pain from her family's distance. Additionally, adjusting your focus can involve offering help to your adult children in ways that are meaningful to them. Sometimes, they might appreciate practical assistance, like helping with childcare or running errands, which can also be a way to reconnect. For example, you could offer to pick up your grandchildren from school or bring over a homemade meal. These small gestures show that you care and are willing to support them, which might encourage them to reciprocate in their own way. But remember, do this without expecting anything in return. The goal is to show your love and support, not to create an obligation. Another aspect of adjusting your focus is exploring new interests that you've always wanted to try. Maybe there's a local senior center that offers classes or events, or perhaps there's an online community where you can connect with others who share your passions. These activities can open up new avenues for connection and help you feel more fulfilled, regardless of your family's response. By investing in your own happiness, you're not only taking care of yourself, but also becoming a more positive presence in your family's life, which can make them more likely to want to reconnect. Now, as we conclude this part, remember that respecting boundaries and adjusting your focus are crucial steps in rebuilding your family bonds. These strategies not only help in reconnecting with your loved ones, but also in taking care of your own emotional well-being. Stay with me as we explore more ways to navigate this challenging but rewarding journey. Let's dive into our final strategy, which is all about acknowledging the reality of your family relationships. This one can be tough, but it's so important. Sometimes, we hold on to the hope that things will go back to the way they were, those days when your kids were young, and you were the center of their world. But the truth is, as our children grow, their lives change, and so do our relationships with them. Acknowledging this reality means accepting that some relationships may not be as close as they once were, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're focusing on what you can control and setting realistic expectations. Start by reflecting on the current state of your relationship with your family. Ask yourself, what's possible right now? Maybe your goal isn't to have weekly dinners together, but to have one meaningful conversation a month. Or perhaps it's about keeping the lines of communication open, even if it's just through occasional messages. By setting achievable goals, you avoid the disappointment of chasing something that might not be realistic at this moment. This approach also helps you stay hopeful without feeling overwhelmed. For example, I know a woman named Susan who was heartbroken because her son rarely called or visited. She kept hoping he'd suddenly become the attentive son he was as a teenager. But after some soul-searching, she realized his life was consumed with a demanding job and young kids of his own. Instead of feeling rejected, she decided to focus on small steps, like sending him a funny photo of her dog or a quick text about a family memory. Over time, these little gestures helped her son feel more comfortable reaching out, and they started having more regular chats. Susan's story shows that acknowledging the reality of where your relationship stands can actually open the door to new ways of connecting. Another part of this strategy is letting go of guilt or blame, whether it's blaming yourself or your children. Maybe there were misunderstandings or conflicts in the past that contributed to the distance. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, focus on what you can do now. If you feel like you owe an apology for something in the past, don't hesitate to offer one. A simple, "I'm sorry if I ever made you feel unheard," can go a long way. But even if an apology isn't needed, shifting your mindset to focus on the present helps you move forward with clarity and purpose. Acknowledging reality also means being open to the fact that some relationships may take longer to heal, or in rare cases, may not fully mend. That's a hard truth, but it frees you to invest your energy in the connections that are responsive and in your own happiness. It's about finding a balance between hope and acceptance, knowing that you're doing your best to rebuild those bonds. Now, let's wrap up with a final thought on giving time for healing. Rebuilding family relationships is a journey, and like any journey, it takes time. You can't rush it, and you can't force it. Think of it like planting a garden. You sow the seeds with your efforts, those texts, those invitations, those moments of understanding, and then you give them time to grow. Trust that your consistent, gentle actions are making a difference, even if you don't see results right away. Patience is key here. If you've been reaching out and haven't gotten the response you hoped for, don't give up. Keep showing up in small, meaningful ways. Maybe it's sending a card for their birthday or sharing a memory that makes you smile. These gestures remind your family that you're there, and over time, they can soften even the most strained relationships. For instance, there's a man named Tom who hadn't spoken to his daughter in over a year after a big argument. He started sending her occasional emails, just sharing updates about his life or asking how she was doing, without pushing for a response. It took months, but one day she replied, and they slowly started rebuilding their relationship. Tom learned that giving time for healing meant trusting the process and not forcing a quick fix. As we close out this video, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've been on together. We've talked about letting go of anger to clear the way for positive communication, staying in touch to keep the connection alive, respecting boundaries to honor your family's independence, adjusting your focus to find joy outside of family, and now, acknowledging realities and giving time for healing. Each of these steps is like a thread in a tapestry, weaving together to create a stronger, more loving family bond. The beauty of this process is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take is a victory, and it's a testament to your love and commitment to your family. I want to encourage you to try these strategies in your own life. Start with one or two that feel right for you, and see where they lead. And I'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. Have you tried reaching out in a new way, or found a hobby that's brought you joy? Your story might inspire someone else watching this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. It really helps us reach more people who might need this advice. And most importantly, remember that you're not alone in this. Rebuilding family bonds takes time, but with patience and love, you can create connections that bring warmth and meaning to your life. Here's to living your best life, surrounded by the people you care about most. Until next time, take care.